Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so that you never miss any video lesson from Rao's IAS Study Circle. Join the official Telegram channel of Rao's IAS Study Circle to stay updated and get all the materials on the Telegram. The link to the channel can be found in the description box. Hello and welcome to Daily News Simplified, an answer to what, why and how of newspaper reading from a UPSC perspective. Now today let us take up the New Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper dated 27 July 2021. The news to be discussed has been displayed on your screen and time-stamping for the same has been provided in the description box below. So on this note, let's start our today's discussion from our examination perspective. Now let's take up this article appearing on page number 6. Now this article says an emigration bill that does not go far enough. Now this article says that the new bill, that is the new Emigration Bill of 2021, is better than the old act, that is the old Immigration Act of 1983. But more reforms are needed to protect Indian workers. So basically this article highlights certain concerns about the new Immigration Bill of 2021. Now the whole purpose of Indian Immigration Act of 1983 and even the new bill is twofold, namely to protect those Indians who are settling abroad with respect to employment or any kind of work, and also their overall welfare and also protection in terms of guidance, so that the people seeking employment abroad are not misguided and the government of India provide them a proper guidance in this regard. So it is in these aspects the new Immigration Bill of 2021 becomes very important. Now as you can see, a question has been asked by UPSC in GS paper 2 with respect to the role of Indian diaspora. It says that Indian diaspora has a decisive role to play in the politics and economy of America and European countries. Comment with examples. And this question was asked for 10 marks. Now since this question pertaining to role and importance of Indian diaspora in America and European countries has been asked, so now you should also go through this particular article from the perspective of challenges faced by Indian diaspora, especially the unskilled and semi-skilled workers who mostly work in the Gulf areas. So this article becomes important from our examination perspective under GS paper 2, especially regarding the aspect of Indian diaspora, government policies and interventions for their development, and also laws and institutions which protect Indian diaspora abroad. Now after understanding these backdrop, you need to understand 2 to 3 important words which has been defined in this Immigration Bill. These important terms are emigrate and emigration. So the new bill states that emigrate and emigration means departure out of India by any person with a view to take up any employment. So basically it is departure from India to abroad. So that is what is meant by emigration. An emigrant means any citizen of India not below the age of 18 years who intends to emigrate, that is go abroad for employment, or has emigrated for with regard to employment. An immigrant means a person who comes to live permanently in a foreign country. So basically when these Indians emigrate abroad, they becomes the immigrant for the foreign countries. For example, for the Gulf countries or for the American countries or European countries. So these terms becomes important for us to understand the further aspect of our analysis. So after understanding these important terms, let's go through the aspect of welfare and protection as provided under the Immigration Bill of 2021, along with the fact that this bill aims to create Bureau of Immigration Policy and Planning and Bureau of Immigration for Administration. And apart from this, we shall also go through the concerns which has been highlighted in this particular article. Now, according to one of the reports of United Nations Department for Economic and Social Affairs, maximum number of Indians have settled abroad, followed by Mexicans and Chinese. Now, it has been generally observed that skilled workers and students for higher studies mostly migrate to European countries or to the United States, whereas semi-skilled or unskilled workers mostly migrate to the Gulf regions or the Southeast Asian countries. And if you can see in this particular map, then in United States of America, the maximum residents from abroad are residing. And after United States, it is in Germany, where maximum foreign citizens are residing. So from this perspective, let us understand the challenges faced by the semi-skilled and unskilled workers, especially who go to mostly Gulf countries or Southeast Asian countries for employment. Now, one of the major challenge for the migrant Indians, especially unskilled and semi-skilled workers, are high cost of international migration, and this high cost is basically charged by the recruiters. And this high cost of international migration make these vulnerable workers to take loans from institutional or non-institutional sources, namely banks, financial institutions, or even money lenders. Now, because of increasing amount for loan including high rate of interest, the gap between migration expenditure and the income which they receive becomes less. Now, this increasing gap between the income earned and the cost of loan further make their life difficult. And overall, this also leads to flow of capital outside India. Now, since these workers are not able to bridge the gap between their migration expenses and income earned, this further increases their overall debts, and this not only makes the family vulnerable but also traps them in vicious cycle of debt repayment, as the amount earned is not sufficient enough to pay back their debt. Now, another challenge faced by these workers are exploitation done to them by their employer, and this includes large recruitment charges, retention of their passport, deception with respect to providing a different kind of job as was promised, non-payment or underpayment of wages, discrimination of these workers, and also poor working conditions without providing any proper social security benefits or any kind of medical benefits. So if the health of these workers deteriorate, then they are all by themselves with respect to treatment. Now, as per certain reports, majority of migrant workers' death in the Gulf states and West Asia are attributed to either heart attacks or respiratory failure, whose causes are mostly unexplained. So these are some of the challenges faced by migrant Indians who go abroad for employment. Now, before understanding the key provisions of Emigration Bill of 2021, let's go through three important points with respect to the Emigration Act of 1983. The first is that it provides for immigration authorities, namely the protectors of emigrants. Now, the function of these authority is to protect the emigrants, inspect emigrant conveyance, which includes a vessel, vehicle, country craft, and an aircraft. These authorities can also inquire about emigrants' residence in foreign countries and their overall voyage, and also they can put up check posts for illegal emigration. So these are some of the functions which has been assigned to the immigration authorities as per the Emigration Act of 1983. Now, the other two aspects are regarding registration of recruiting agents and the point that recruitment by foreign employers will be done only through these recruiting agents or under certain permit. So it basically makes registration of recruiting agents mandatory, and the recruitment of the employee shall be done only through these recruiting agents. So the Immigration Act of 1983 mentions that the recruiting agents shall register themselves with the Protector General of Emigrants, and registered recruiting agents to have a valid certificate of registration. So these recruiting agents shall also have a valid certificate of registration. It further says that the recruiting agent shall also conduct due diligence of prospective employers. Further, they shall also set up cap on service fees, that is the fees charged by the employers. And the Act also establishes a sort of a government review of worker travel and employment documents. So these are some of the important highlights with respect to the Immigration Act of 1983. Now, understanding certain aspects regarding the Immigration Act of 1983, it gives us a glimpse with respect to the Immigration Bill of 2021, as it overall aims to protect and provide for the welfare of migrant citizens who wish to work abroad. Now, as we have already stated, that this bill provides for Bureau of Immigration Policy and Planning and Bureau of Immigration of Administration. So in this regard, let's go through some of the important functions which has been assigned to the Bureau of Immigration Administration and then we shall go through the concerns which has been highlighted in this particular article, especially regarding the Emigration Bill of 2021. So, some of the important functions of this Bureau of Immigration of Administration includes maintaining digitized records of Indian emigrants, ensuring welfare and protection of emigrants settled abroad, especially with respect to their insurance policy, regarding their skill upgradation and training with respect to the work. Next, providing them certain kind of pre-departure orientation with respect to the kind of work and the laws of the country in which they are traveling, counseling these immigrants at all stages of their migration. Further, it also provides the Indian embassy or consulate to establish a labor and welfare wing to coordinate all issues relating to Indian immigrants. Further, the bill also states that the Indian embassy or consulate may also establish Emigrants Welfare Committee to oversee, review, direct aid and address the grievance of Indian immigrants. So these are some of the welfare and protection aspects with respect to the new Emigration Bill of 2021. Now the next aspect is regarding regulating human resource agencies and also recruiters. Now here the bill provides for giving ratings for employers and human resource agencies. It also aims to maintain a list of blacklisted foreign employers or fraudulent human resource agencies. It aims to establish a shared database among concerned stakeholders in the government to maintain a comprehensive approach towards immigration. It further provides for periodic inspection of any records or registered which is maintained by the human resource agencies. It also advises the nodal authorities regarding matters relating to prosecution of illegal human resource agencies. It also provides for registering, suspension, or even cancellation of certificates of human resource agencies, as these human resource agencies or recruiting agencies needs to have a valid certificate. Further, the bill also provides for accreditation of employers. So these are some of the aspects highlighted in the bill, especially regarding regulating human resource agencies and recruiters. Now the Bureau of Immigration Administration shall also prevent illegal immigration and also check irregularity in recruitment procedures and also misuse of visa by Indians. They shall establish help desk and Sahayata Kendras in India and also abroad in order to guide the emigrant Indians. They shall also undertake awareness programs to ensure safety and orderly and regular migration of Indians, and the Bureau shall also monitor situations, circumstances and activities which affects overseas Indians. Further, the bill also provides for punishment and penalties both for these human resource agencies and also for emigrants. So these punishment and penalties are regarding furnishing false information by human resource agencies, for taking accreditation by employers by furnishing false details, and with respect to immigrants, if it is proved by certain competent authority as per the bill that the persons are not immigrants or lack certain criteria to work abroad. Now if you remember, we had discussed about the term immigrant which was defined under the new Emigration Bill of 2021, which stated that immigrant means any citizen of India not below the age of 18 years who intends to emigrate for the purpose of employment. So emigrant has to be a citizen of India, that is the first requirement, and second, he must not be below the age of 18 years. And because of this, it says that if it is proved that the persons are not emigrants or lack criteria to work abroad, then they shall also pay a penalty ranging from rupees 10,000 to 50,000 as per the decision of the competent authority. So these can be said to be some of the important highlights as provided in this particular bill, based on which the author in this article has provided for certain criticism and has also expressed its concern. Now these are some of the important concerns which have been highlighted in this article. First and foremost is regarding charging high fees against International Labour Organization standard with respect to Convention 181. Now here the author says that the bill permits manpower agencies to charge workers service fees and even allows agents to set their own limits. So it is here where the author says that this goes against the ILO standards with respect to Convention 181. As according to this convention, it is the employer and not the worker who should bear recruitment payments, including the cost of their visas, air travel, medical exams and service charges to recruiters. So ultimately, these fees must be paid by recruiters and not workers. Now, as we have already discussed, that this high charging of fees by the recruiters makes these Indian families vulnerable mostly to informal lending institutions because of high debt. Now, according to large-scale surveys done by International Labour Organization and the World Bank, it shows that Indian workers pay exorbitant charges for their jobs and that poorer workers pay progressively larger fees. So because of these high fees charged by the recruiters, it overall increases the vulnerability of the family as they have to depend on these informal institutions for debt. Now, another concern highlighted by the author is regarding the fact that authorities can cancel the passport of such Indians who are either migrating through unregistered brokers or who are migrating through irregular arrangements, and can also impose fines in the range of 10,000 to 50,000. Now, here the author says that the Indian authorities can either cancel the passport or suspend their passport if also they do not meet the proper criteria. And according to the author, this runs contrary to the principles of protection and welfare of migrants. Now, another concern highlighted by the author is regarding the misuse of law by recruiters and human resource agencies, especially in favor of select recruiters, as the bill provides for the aspect of accreditation for recruiters. Now, the next two concerns are the fact that the bill is gender insensitive and also there is limited scope for civil society engagement. Now, regarding gender insensitiveness, the author says that the bill does not adequately reflect the gender dimensions of labor migration, and women have limited agency in recruitment compared to men. And also the fact that women are more likely to be marginalized with respect to the kind of work allocated to them. Further, the author says that the bill does not provide for enough scope for civil society engagement for workers' representation. So overall, these are some of the concerns which have been highlighted in this particular article regarding the new Immigration Bill of 2021. Now, based on our discussion, this becomes your practice question for your mains examination. It says, highlight the challenges faced by Indian immigrants employed or seeking employment in low-paying jobs. And this question carries 10 marks. So I hope after this discussion on this particular article, you will be able to attempt this particular question. So after understanding this article on Immigration Bill, let's take up our next article for discussion. Now, the next article to be discussed appears on page number 6. It says, evaluating India's options in Afghanistan. With the West done with Afghanistan, New Delhi needs to adopt a layered approach in finding a political solution. Now, here let us understand first of all about the Indo-Pacific Strategy of United States. Now, this strategy mainly comprises of three important aspects. First is strengthening India. Second is to ensure unimpeded commerce in the Indian Ocean region. And third is to create free and open order in the Indo-Pacific. Now, the problem with respect to achieving all three aspects for the Indo-Pacific strategy is the presence of China, and now we can also say the increasing clout of Taliban. And both these aspects makes it more difficult for India to establish its authority in the region, as Taliban, with the help of Pakistan, is slowly increasing its influence in the area. And this may also pose as a security challenge for India. So this article mentions about New Delhi to adopt layered approach in finding a political solution. Now, finding a political solution for India would have been much easier had India and United States saw the Indo-Pacific region through the same prism. Now, on one hand, United States has withdrawn from Afghanistan, making the region more vulnerable and hence more difficult for India to contain. And on the other hand, wants to engage more with the democracies, namely Australia, Japan and India. And this has been strengthened through Quad, that is the quadrilateral alliance of these four democracies. Now, the United States wants to counter China's presence in the maritime region and also with respect to trade. However, there are problems with respect to India, especially regarding China and also with respect to Taliban. Now, between 1996 to 2001, when the Taliban were in Afghanistan, India's engagement and bilateral ties with Afghanistan was at its low. But after the removal of Taliban by United States, India's engagement and also India's investment in Afghanistan post 2001 increased significantly. But again we see the increasing clout of Taliban in Afghanistan, and this in a way has pushed India back with respect to its Afghan policy. So considering all these international developments, the question remains as to what should India do. So regarding India's options in Afghanistan, the first and foremost aspect which India must consider is to continue its talk with Taliban. Now this is important because India should be accommodative in opening its door for Taliban. And here it's a significant development where India has already established contacts with the Taliban in Doha. Now, continued talk with Taliban will allow New Delhi to seek security guarantees from insurgents in return for continued development of the region. So, Government of India must ensure continued development in the region of Afghanistan to get in return a guarantee with respect to security close to Indian region. And based on this aspect, India must continue to invest in Afghanistan, as there is a hope that development in the region may lead to stability in the region, which will ultimately establish peace in the region. Now, the third aspect which India must also ensure is to continue intelligence sharing and training exercises with Afghan security forces. Now, this must be done in order to strengthen the civilian government of Afghanistan, as a strong civilian government will have better bargaining power at the table in intra-Afghan peace talks with Taliban. And the fourth aspect which India must try is to de-link Taliban from Pakistan, or explore the possibility of Taliban's autonomy from Pakistan. Now this aspect must not be overlooked because Taliban has deep ties with Pakistan's military structure. And apart from these efforts, India must also engage with regional powers such as Russia, Iran and even China, as this might lead to a political solution for Afghanistan, as these three countries, namely China, Russia and even Iran, are also engaging with Taliban to ensure peace and security in the region. As for China, their Xinjiang province shares a border with Afghanistan, and a jihadist-oriented Taliban would not serve well for China's interest. Now Russia has history to fear, as instability in the region might spill over into the former Soviet republics. So this is what Russia fears. And for Iran, which is a Shia theocratic country, Taliban is a Sunni dominated organization, and this poses an ideological challenge for Iran. So considering Russia's, Iran's and China's vulnerability, India must engage with these regional powers in order to find a political solution for this problem. Now, despite these efforts, there would be two problems which would still remain. The first would be with respect to sanction of United States on Iran, and second would be court turning anti-China, keeping in mind United States Indo-Pacific Strategy. Now, regarding the first aspect, this might impede India's access to Central Asia through Chabahar port, and regarding the second aspect, India must ensure China that Quad is not an anti-China bloc. So considering all these problems, India should strike the right balance between its continental realities along with United States Indo-Pacific Strategy. Now this article, which talks about balancing of India's interest with respect to Taliban and China on one hand, and with respect to Indo-Pacific Strategy of United States and Quad on the other hand. So this topic becomes important primarily from your mains perspective under GS paper 2, especially regarding effect of policies and politics of developed and developing countries on India's interest and India and its neighborhood relations. So with this discussion on India's options in Afghanistan, let's take up our next article. Now our third article appears on page number 4. It says, Puri in Odisha becomes India's first city to provide quality drinking tap water. This project will help reduce plastic waste as per the Chief Minister. Now the name of the scheme is Drink from Tap in Puri. So this news basically highlights that the city of Puri becomes India's first city to provide quality drinking tap water. And water can be considered to be the essence of life, as without water, life cannot exist on earth. So very straightforward, we can find a correlation of this particular scheme with that of Article 21, and through this can be said to be a part of GS paper 2. Since right to safe drinking water can be said to be very much a part of right to life. Further, clean drinking water also ensures basic human right for any individual across continents. And overall, providing clean drinking water also fulfills one of the Sustainable Development Goals, namely the SDG Goal 6.1 pertaining to clean water and sanitation. Now, providing clean water to people will also reduce the waterborne diseases and will overall reduce medical expenditure of vulnerable sections of the population. And we can also say that providing clean drinking water to all citizens, irrespective of caste, creed, religion, class, etc., is an ethical aspect of governance. So, in this regard, let's understand the aspects of this particular news, especially from the perspective of GS paper 1, GS paper 2, and also GS paper 4 pertaining to ethics. Now, providing clean drinking water is an important aspect of urbanization under GS paper 1, and providing clean drinking water facility is also part of planned urban development. Further, for Puri, in order to develop as a heritage city, it must provide clean drinking water, and this not only applies to Puri but also to other cities of India. The next aspect under GS paper 1 is regarding women empowerment. So, clean drinking water improves access of water for women, and this also ensures their safety as they have to spend less time collecting water for domestic requirements. Further, spending less time in order to collect water will also result in greater personal safety for women. And also under GS paper 1, we can say that providing clean drinking water, it also reduces the disease burden along with poverty. Because we can say that absence of clean drinking water is the first sign of poverty. And drinking poor quality water not only increases the disease burden but also the pocket expenditure on medical expenses. So these are the aspects with respect to urbanization, cultural city, women empowerment, and poverty and disease regarding GS paper 1. Now, from GS paper 2 perspective, we have already highlighted the importance of Article 21 of the Indian Constitution along with Sustainable Development Goals, namely Sustainable Development Goal 6. So here it says that Supreme Court has ruled in various judgments that pollution-free water is a fundamental right which a welfare state is bound to ensure. Since India is a welfare state, hence it is bound to ensure clean drinking water to its citizens. Further, SDG 6.1 calls for universal and equitable access to safe and affordable drinking water to all citizens. Now, providing clean drinking water to children is of utmost importance as children are very much susceptible to waterborne diseases. Further, providing clean drinking water also helps to build up the wash infrastructure. Now, we have already discussed about vector-borne diseases mainly due to contaminated water, poor sanitation, and open sources of water. And these waterborne diseases are linked to transmission of disease such as cholera, diarrhea, dysentery, hepatitis A, typhoid, and even polio. Now, another aspect highlighted here is regarding expense on health, as better water sources also results in less expenditure on health, as less number of people are likely to fall ill because they have access to clean drinking water. And since large number of people are less likely to fall ill, hence they remain more economically productive. So these are some of the highlights pertaining to the importance of clean drinking water, especially with respect to GS paper 2. Now, from the perspective of GS paper 4, the aspects of ethical governance becomes important, compassion becomes important, along with emotional intelligence, as all these are part of syllabus. Now, we have already discussed regarding the aspect of ethical governance that government must fulfill the basic rights of citizens promised by the Constitution of India. Now, regarding compassion, a statement from Arthashastra becomes important here. It says that Arthashastra urges the ruler to remain compassionate towards his subject. It says about the king that in the happiness of his subject lies his happiness, and in their welfare lies his welfare. So a king must constantly think about the welfare of his subject along with their happiness. Further, as per social contract principles, the ruler must work in the interest of ruled, understanding and ameliorating or solving their problems. Further, with respect to compassionate and ethical governance, even the Constitution of India provides for a welfare state whereby the state is obligated for safeguarding fundamental rights and liberty of citizens. Now, another perspective under GS paper 4 is the aspect of emotional intelligence. Now, here emotional intelligence of the ruler becomes a cornerstone with respect to welfare and happiness of his subject. So it says that emotional intelligence is required to understand the suffering of people, basically the empathy part in absence of basic needs like drinking water. So a ruler must not only be compassionate but also must have empathy towards his subject. And lastly, it says that morality can only be expected after fulfillment of basic needs, and providing clean drinking water can be said to be one of the most important basic needs in our society. So these can be said to be some of the important perspectives under GS paper 4, especially pertaining to providing clean drinking water. Now the last news to be taken up appears on page number 8. It says Tamil Nadu and Uttar Pradesh acquired land for defense industrial corridors, and both are in their formative stages. So both these states, that is the state of Uttar Pradesh and also the state of Tamil Nadu, has acquired land for defense industrial corridor. And these defense industrial corridors have been provided with certain nodal points. So for the state of Uttar Pradesh, there are 6 nodal points, namely Aligarh, Agra, Jhansi, Chitrakoot, Kanpur and Lucknow. Whereas for Tamil Nadu, there are 5 nodal points, namely Coimbatore, Hosur, Chennai, Salem and Tiruchirappalli. So from your prelims perspective, you need to know that these 2 states have so far acquired land for defense industrial corridor. And the defense industrial corridor is mainly to boost manufacturing of defense equipments in India. So in this regard, let's go through the benefits of defense industrial corridors in India. So the first benefit is to boost Make in India project, to provide employment opportunities with respect to skilled, semi-skilled and even unskilled workers, to improve economic growth of India. This will also help to ensure self-reliance or Atmanirbharta, especially in the area of defense manufacturing in India. It will reduce foreign dependency of Indian aerospace and defense sector. It will also help to make defense manufacturing industry export-oriented industry, as so far India imports most of these defense equipments. It will also help to attract domestic and foreign investments with respect to domestic manufacturing of defense equipments. This will further improve competition among domestic defense manufacturing firms. And further, it will also spur the growth of private domestic manufacturers, MSMEs, that is micro, small and medium enterprises, and also startup industries. So all these can be said to be some of the benefits with respect to promoting defense industrial corridors within India. Now this topic becomes important from the perspective of Indian economic development in your prelims, and in mains questions can be asked under GS paper 3, especially pertaining to infrastructure and changes in industrial policy and their effects on industrial growth. Now for today's question for the day, I have taken this news appearing on page number 11, which says that the Tunisian president sacks its government. So based on this understanding of Tunisia, you can attempt this particular question. The question is, consider the following statements. Tunisia has access to Mediterranean Sea, and second, Algeria and Libya shares border with Tunisia. So the question is, which of the statements given above is are correct? Options are 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, and neither 1 nor 2. Now coming to the answer of yesterday, the question was, consider the following statements. First, Chief of Defence Staff is advisor to the Nuclear Command Authority. Yes, this is correct. Second, he is the head of Defence Acquisition Council. No, this is incorrect. So here the correct answer becomes A, that is 1 only. So with the question of the day, we come to an end to today's analysis. Thank you for watching DNS.